Hello everyone, Barton here again in this video in DCS Focke-Wulf 190D9, how to be immune to Spitfire 9s in this game. The Spitfire 9 in DCS is an extremely formidable enemy, being very maneuverable, having good power for great acceleration, and it also climbs like a bat out of hell. So how is an aircraft like the Focke-Wulf 190D9 immune to Spitfires? And that's a pretty heavy charge, I'll admit. And it's not a claim that I take lightly, and I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about right here. I'm coming up on a Spitfire 9 that is a little bit higher than me, but I do have quite a bit of energy. I figure I'm going to loop up over the top of this guy and come down in on top of him because I've got so much more energy that I'll just be able to own this dude. But he sees me before I can set up my maneuver, and when I'm in the vertical, he actually pulls a corkscrew kind of vertical to slide in right behind my 6, and I noticed this and immediately put my nose down because I've gone from having the essence of surprise, or the element of surprise, in being able to start this engagement to being on the back foot very, very quickly. Now, the way to get away from a Spitfire every single time is to use the one thing that you have that they don't, and that's top speed. If you make the mistake that I initially did in trying to climb too aggressively and not having enough speed, the Spitfire will be able to hang with you, if not possibly close on you. Because the lower airspeed that you have and the more aggressive of a climb that you perform, the more you're playing to the Spitfire's strengths. But if you put your nose down and you get up over 500 kilometers an hour, which isn't exactly hard in the Focke-Wulf 190D9, you'll find that you're, if not extending away from the Spitfire, that you're definitely not losing any ground to him whatsoever, notwithstanding a Spitfire coming out of a dive with more energy. And the position that I'm in now, 500 kilometers an hour, is more than enough to stay out in front of this Spitfire. And in fact, I'm going to use that airspeed and start a shallow climb at full throttle without the MW50 on. You can stay at full throttle with your radiators open and maintain about 500 to 510 kilometers an hour in a slight climb. The Spitfire, in order to keep the airspeed that he needs to stay with you, is going to have to fly level, if not possibly put his nose down. And both of those are working to your advantage because that's increasing your vertical separation, which is giving you more and more of an advantage over your opponent. Here you can tell that my airspeed is around 450 kilometers an hour, which is way too low, and I pull back on the stick and make my climb even more aggressive, and my airspeed drops off to around 400 kilometers an hour, and you can watch the Spitfire start to gain on me, and this is really when I realized where exactly the line is. It's about 500 kilometers an hour. Eventually I'll start to put my nose down and get up to that number. And the reason why is that the Spitfire's energy is at maximum use just in level flight, trying to stay with you at that airspeed. So he has to use all of the energy he has available just to stay with you, and he can't use any of it to climb, whereas you can use at least some of it to climb slightly. But if you get slower than that, then the Spitfire has a little bit of extra energy to use to climb, and the lower your airspeed is, the more energy that the Spitfire has to dedicate to climbing, and the Spitfire is way better at climbing at lower airspeeds than the Focke-Wulf 190D9 is. And so that's the simple way of how to stay immune to Spitfires. Just keep your speed up, don't make any sudden maneuvers, do a nice gentle slow climb, make sure your speed is over 500 kilometers an hour at all times, and eventually you'll end up above them. If one dives down on top of you, you have to make sure that you keep your speed as high as possible and use your roll rate. More detailed instructions on how exactly to do that in my Kampfliegerschule 3 video. It's pretty similar for all Focke-Wulf 190s. It's one of the best strategies to get out of a bad situation in this aircraft. Now, you've been able to see the Spitfire gain on me through this climb, and I've begun to realize exactly why that is, and I've started to put my nose down to gain airspeed and really extend away from this guy and be able to put a slight climb for an altitude advantage on him. It does require a lot of patience, but it will pay off every single time. However, once you find yourself at an altitude advantage with the Spitfire below you, now turning the tables and killing him is a whole other story. That requires good gunnery, because a Spitfire that knows that you're there, knows that you're coming, is typically a very difficult target to hit. can already tell that I've opened up some vertical separation while maintaining my horizontal separation from the Spitfire, so this is definitely working. But you have to make sure that you see through enough advantage to really turn the tables on the Spitfire. If you turn back too early, you'll just put yourself in the exact same position, because again, these things can turn and climb like mad. So if you turn back too early and you let him get into it, pull you into a turning fight, he's just going to end up right back on your 6 with a quickness. At this point, I've gained sufficient advantage that I can turn the tables and come back into him, but I'll end the video here because killing this guy took quite a long time, because I still haven't gotten my gunnery down quite that well in this game. But there you have it. That is a foolproof way to stay alive when fighting Spitfires in a Focke-Wulf 190 D9. Hit like if you like the video, share if you want to, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscription button. Many more videos to come. As always, thanks for watching, and happy hunting.